to be really gentle with this mic because she's wonky. I can't find my pink microphone anywhere. Don't know where she went. She's got to be in this closet somewhere because this is the only place I use the microphone. But no, couldn't find her. So I'm really, really hoping that this microphone does not fail me. Okay. Also shadows. What are you going to do? I tried my best. My toddler is content right now. I am determined to take this time to record. So, with that being said, hello mamas or non-mamas. Apparently I'm reaching the non-moms these days, but we'll get into that later. I have not recorded, excuse me. I have not recorded in a long time, and there has been so much that has happened in my life since the last time I talked, since the last time I recorded on this podcast. So I honestly have a lot to say today, and I'm hoping that it doesn't, get long and too wordy because I tend to do that. But yeah, so what has been happening in my life? Where do I even start? I don't have to get into the details. It's not anything super extravagant, but my life has been busier than usual because I have started working again part-time. I'm usually just a stay-at-home mom. There's hair in my mouth. I usually just stay at home with my daughter, but I started working part-time, I think like a year ago, and it was just a great way for me to get out of the house and also to make us some extra money because we just really needed it. So yeah, I found myself a new part-time job since quitting my last one because that was just the first part-time job I got since becoming a mom was like literally so toxic. It was terrible, but I worked there for like almost a year and quit that bitch. And like about 2 months ago, I got a job working at a bookstore and I love it. Words cannot even describe how much I love this job. It's so weird. It's like kind of a dream job, even though it doesn't pay very much. It would be a dream job if it paid me the good bucks, but it's a dream part-time job that I was lucky to come by. I mean, I guess not lucky, but I consider myself lucky to have been able to get this job just because I don't have a lot of experience. I have a lot of experience in random things, but yeah, I'm always like wanting to branch out and try new things because I'll try something and figure out very quickly that it's just not for me, and that's okay. Just on to the next thing. But yeah, I've been loving my bookstore job. Can't even lie. My coworkers are fantastic. They're just very kind, intelligent people who are fun to talk to and very easy to work with. And the type of customers that come into the bookstore are usually just always so happy to be there because it's such an adorable it's an independent bookstore. So it's got a lot of charm to it and people just love it there. I love it there. I get free coffee because there's a cafe that's in the bookstore, and free coffee, free pastries. Sometimes I get free wine because they do like wine in the evenings. Are you kidding me? So cute. Wine and books. What more could you want? What more could you want? And sometimes they'll have leftover wine, so I'll get to take those bottles home with me, and it's great. Oh, and also one of the best perks of the entire job is I get access to the damaged cart. So any books that get damaged immediately go onto a cart for us to take for free. And also they have advanced reader guides, which are unpublished books that are like soon to be published. And there's a whole shelf of them that you can pick from at any time that you want. Like it's lovely, the perks, and also just the environment is so wonderful. So I'm just so grateful for this job, and I've just been really busy with that along with other things. And of course, being a mom is my primary full-time job. I always tell my coworkers that this job is my break because my full-time job is during the week, and we all just love it. We just love it there. We do. It's great to work with people who enjoy their job and just enjoy being there and aren't like just negative Nancy's all the time, because when I'm around negativity, it's really hard for me to not be negative. And I've been in very negative work situations before, and it's just toxic and not fun. So I'm so glad that I have a job that I'm excited to go to. Like, that's unheard of for me. So hopefully it stays that way for a little bit. But yeah, ever since I've been working at that bookstore, I've been reading so much. I just feel so behind because I'm very new to the reading world. I haven't always enjoyed reading my whole life. I've always like kind of kept it to school. But ever since becoming a mother, or even just becoming an adult, I've read a lot, and I just feel so behind. I have so many books that I need to catch up on. So I've been reading like a book every week since I've started working there, or I've tried to get through a book at least each week, or before I get into work the next week, I want to have at least gotten through halfway of another book, because I feel so behind. I need to catch up. I need to catch up on all the things in the book world. It's a big world. And if you haven't ever like delved into reading or books, it's very intimidating because there's just so much. But that's also one of the fun things about it. And there's so many genres that you'll probably never even touch or never even try, and that's totally okay. Like, not everyone has the same reading style. That's one thing that I've noticed a lot since working at a bookstore is everyone has their favorites and everyone has their least favorites, and they're going to be very different from one another. So my coworkers always make fun of me, and I totally take it in the kindest way. Like I'm never like, oh, they're making fun of me. Like, it's not in a negative way at all. I totally understand, but I'm really into cheesy romance novels. So it's okay to make fun of that because they're cheesy as hell. But I love them, okay? I love me some historical schmut, you know? It's smut. I love me some smut, okay? I am a smut lover, all right? And I'm not ashamed. I am not ashamed to say that, because reading is one of those, books is one of those things where you can just go to a different world, go to a different timeline, a different reality. And it's okay to delve into the spicy things because it's just a book and it's for my own entertainment. If it makes me giggle, if it makes me feel some type of way, like emotionally, and it's really easy for me to get drawn into and attached to romantic characters and like love situations because I don't know, I'm a romantic, okay? I might not seem like a romantic, but deep within me, I truly believe in the cheesiest of romances because I've had the cheesiest of romances. My story's a lot different than most romances you'll read, but I believe in cheesy love. I believe that exists. I believe that romance still exists. And it's so fun to read about it. And sometimes in just like these crazy scenarios. And honestly, the historical romances are very like, what's the word? Vanilla. Historical romance novels are vanilla. People think that they're like full pornos. They only have like a chapter of that, and you have to read the entire book before you even get to that point. So it's really not like in your face smut. It's like very slow burn smut, and that is like the best kind. Got to tease it a little bit. You need a nice little tease. Oh Lord. But anyways, I've been ranting about books for way too long. Especially for those of you who don't read, you're probably like, you probably already clicked off. Let's be real. I've been reading a lot. But let's get into like the real stuff, the real talk for a sec. Like, let's get into it. I'm very into astrology and astrological phenomena. So I'm all for like the effects of retrogrades and the moon and the alignment of the stars, all that stuff, all that woo-woo. And I fully believe that the Scorpio moon last April was so freaking powerful. And I just have my own personal experiences with what was going on in my life around that time. At the beginning of the month, it wasn't even my own struggle. It was a friend of mine's struggle that kind of like bled into my life because I was helping her, and that was just insane, so disruptive for her life. To me, in one of the best ways possible for her, but for her it's been a lot, and I totally understand that. And that's as far as I'm going to go into it. I don't even want to touch on her story because it's her story. But that was just so chaotic. And then recently, within literally the past 3 days, has been, I don't know if chaotic is even the word. Before all of this went down, which I'll get into in a second, before all of it went down, I was just going through a lot emotionally. I was going through another freaking mama burnout. I mean, I've been going through just this huge roller coaster of being just doing fine, and then immediately I just get dropped into this just burnout funk. And I was going through another one of those funks of just like, I just wasn't here. My mind was just a mess again. You know, sometimes it's clear, sometimes it's not so loud. All the anxiety, all of the negativity, you know, that I have to learn to control, that's within me. Sometimes it's not so loud, and it's more bearable and it's more livable. But lately, like the past few weeks, it's just been so loud. So loud, and it's been very like just debilitating. And so I was just going through that. And then a few days ago, one of my TikToks blew up in all the wrong ways. Yeah, I've been experiencing hate, online hate. And I've experienced hate in the past, like on my TikToks. I've been posting TikToks for like 2 years now. And I've gotten hate before, but it's always been on a small scale because I've never had like tons and tons of views. I've had like a couple hundred, you know? So I would get like 1 or 2 comments here or there that were nasty. But I've never experienced this much hate. So that's been a lot. But the only reason I've really kept it together is because of the positive comments and the people that are standing by me. I don't want to get emotional. I really don't want to get emotional because that's where more hate is going to come in, and I don't even want to give anyone else that opportunity, okay? I don't, yeah. That TikTok went so, there aren't even words. That TikTok just went so far in another direction than I was expecting. Again, I'm not used to even getting a lot of views, so I was fully just expecting it to be my cute little mom community going like, yeah, girl, I got you. Like, you go, girl. But no, it got to the wrong side. It got to a very wrong side. Yeah, the TikTok was fully intended for mothers who understand the early stages of motherhood and the emotional baggage that just comes with it sometimes. And it's not the case for all moms, and I've seen that through some of the comments. But I know for a fact that it is the case for some mothers, and I have felt more shame about that part of myself, that like very over emotional, like negative part of myself that has shown itself since I became a mother. I've been very ashamed of that part of myself, and there's not a day that goes by that I don't feel guilt or shame of some sort for the mistakes that I've made while raising my daughter. And it was a huge part of why I was in the slump that I was weeks before all of this even happened, is just because of I just feel debilitated sometimes because I don't know how to be the best for my daughter, because I struggle with things like anger. So let's take a break for a second and gather myself. All right. My laptop died. But yeah, I've been dealing with hate for the first time, but there's just so much that people do not know and do not get. And so I could go through all of the accusations in the comments and explain why each one is so far from the truth. But instead, I am just going to leave it at whoever gets it, gets it. Because every single thing I'm going to say defending myself, people are going to have some problem with it. I'll never win the argument. And that's just how it goes sometimes, and that's just how I'm taking it. Whoever gets it, gets it. And if you don't, you really, really don't. So that's all I'm going to say on that. But I really wanted to talk about a little bit more about the reality of the struggle that can come with some postpartum experiences. And I feel like the first thing I need to say is that postpartum is not solely right after you give birth. They say that postpartum actually doesn't really have a timeline. They say it can last anywhere from a year, maybe even just a couple of months, to 8+ years, they say. And that is just a part of becoming a mother. And also, it is not completely just mothers who can experience things like postpartum rage. It's more than likely always going to be the mother, let's be real. But fathers who have to take on responsibility for their children as well also experience big emotions like anger and rage. And even if you aren't a parent, and I mean, I had so many comments, so many even positive comments from people who weren't parents as well, who still understood, was like, hey, I also have this anger and this was helpful for me. And it just goes to show that if you do not experience these big emotions, you truly do not understand. It's just like, it's something that's very explosive and hard to control. And, being able to direct it in a more controlled way while still being able to feel it is so helpful and beneficial. And I will say, literally, I will say this, after I did the throwing, after I did the ice throwing, I felt so much better. Like, I literally have not felt angry since I did that. Like, I these past few days I've been just like, I had no energy to be overstimulated or stressed out in any way. Like, I had let it out that day. That I had tried it once before the ice throwing, and it had helped so much that I did it that day where I was feeling so incredibly overwhelmed, overstimulated, and I was just not in a good mental state that day, which is why I had that kind of breakdown and that outburst with the ice. And after that, I was calm as a tree. I felt fine, and I've since felt fine, and I've never felt better, actually. I finally found that outlet to just get it out when I needed it, and it was so helpful for me. And others might see it in a different way, but I still stand by it. Come for me. I can take it. But yeah, and then I can get into all the logistics of the kid and where she was at and if she heard it or not, but everyone's going to have something to say about any decision I make with my child, so I'm just going to leave it for the masses to decide for themselves. Everyone's going to have their opinion on me anyway, so I'm not even going to go into that, but I will say I felt a ton better after I did it. I felt so much better, and I have since felt more calm than I have in a while. Not even going to lie. So take that as you must. But yeah, that's really all I wanted to touch on that subject. It's just so apparent how little people understand about the postpartum experience and motherhood, and If you haven't experienced it yourself, you just don't get it. I'm sorry, but like that's just how it is. That's how everything is in life. Everything is relative to opinion. Yeah. So while the hate did get to me, I mean, I'm human. I still stand by the fact that people just are very misinformed. And this situation is just very misunderstood. I just feel very misunderstood, and I've felt that way my whole life, so I'm used to it. I also just want to say that if you are experiencing or have experienced similar just emotional baggage since becoming a mother or a parent, I see you. You're not alone. And you are not crazy. You are not a terrible person because you have these big feelings. And you are not a terrible person for needing to feel them. I just feel like a lot of us have been taught to suppress. Don't feel, don't show, don't embarrass yourself. Get it together. We're all suffering in some way. Don't whine about it. You're too sensitive. You cry too much. You let things get to you too much. If any of that sounds familiar, you've been misunderstood. I understand that and I see that. And believe me when I say I get it. And you're not alone. And I think one of the most disappointing things about the outcome of that TikTok is just the lack of support that there is for this type of struggle. And especially for mothers. Because truly, we are so misunderstood. Yeah, this whole thing has just I just feel so gutted because for years since I've became a mother, my mission has been to be real and vulnerable about the struggle, because a lot of influencers, and I'm not coming for anyone, but a lot of family influencers show a very, very beautiful, lovely side to parenthood. And while that is so amazing, I have always wanted to expose the hard parts, because it's clear that the hard parts are the most misunderstood and the parts that most people probably feel way too embarrassed to reveal or to be honest about. I just don't. I have felt plenty of shame and guilt in my own psyche and my own conscience. I am my own worst bully. So yes, I do get embarrassed. I do feel shamed. I do feel ashamed. I do feel guilty for making mistakes and for not being perfect. But I am not gonna even try to pretend that my experience as a mother has not been the hardest thing I've ever done physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. It has been so hard, and it is very hard for me to not share it because I personally feel like it's not talked about enough. It clearly is not talked about enough because nobody knows what they're talking about. But yeah, and as negative as it might seem to other people, it's real. I mean, it's real. It's my experience. It's the most vulnerable and hardest parts of my life that I've ever faced. Because it's brought up so much garbage that was within me. I mean, people don't ever tell you that becoming a parent forces you, or at least it should be forcing you, to be the best version of yourself for your kids. And it's always a losing battle because we're not perfect. We're human beings. And so we're going to make mistakes. We're going to fuck up. Probably way too many times. Probably more times than we want to. Actually, definitely more times than you want to. And you are going to feel your boundaries, your own personal emotional boundaries being pushed daily, constantly. And it's going to reveal a lot of nasty bits within yourself that you have to work on. You have to grow from. You have to learn from. It's just a huge growing and learning journey, not only for your kids who are physically growing and learning, but you who is mentally growing and learning as a parent. And unfortunately, we're gonna fuck up. Yeah. That's kind of what I wanted to say on that. I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, kind of where I'm at with that situation. And I truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for anyone who stood by my side, who stood up for the mothers who have struggled in that way, and for anyone else who has struggled in that way with anger. It's a real thing, and I'm so glad that people see that and that I'm not the only one, truly. And it was the positive comments, and especially the ones that just reached out, that made sure I saw that they understood me. And that is just so beautiful and literally the only thing keeping me together and keeping me from feeling like the worst mother in the world. So yeah, I want to post more content. Gosh, do I want to post more content? I wish I could post a podcast every day of my life. But I have just been focused on being a mom, focused on my part-time job, and also really trying to focus on my book. And I wanted to mention my book because it is all about the postpartum experience and the depression and the anxiety and the overwhelm and all the emotions that come with that. And I am so freaking excited for people to read it because I just know that it is going to be important. I see now that there's just so much misinformation, and to have a manuscript in my hands with just all of the relatability. I swear, like if you experience postpartum depression, anxiety, rage, any of those things, even just parental overwhelm, this book is going to expose all of it, and it is going to make you feel seen, and it is going to make you feel heard and understood. And I am so freaking excited for people to read it, but I'm also just in a mode where I want it to be perfect. I want it to be so good. And so I'm really taking my time on editing the manuscript and making it so much better than it is. Like, I just want it to be beautiful, and I want it to be deep, and I want it to be as perfect as I can possibly get it. So it's going to take a lot more time than I was expecting. So if you're someone who cares, who's seen the page of my book that wants to read it, I swear, like, I am working so hard on it, and it's going to take time, maybe longer than I was expecting, but it's only because I have so much passion in it. Like, I have so much more passion in it now. And I just really want to make it good. I want it to be good, y'all. So It's going to take time, but I'm so freaking excited. Follow me on TikTok at Living Through Love to stay, updated on the book. And also sometimes I post pages from my book on there. So you can get a little sneak peek about what it's about. And also go love or hate on my my rage video if you wish. That is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed listening, and I hope that you have a wonderful, beautiful, blessed, and peaceful, angryless day. Okay, if you're a mama out there, I wish you the best. Good luck with your day. Good luck with your week. I hope it's beautiful and prosperous and peaceful. And yeah, that's it. I will talk to you in my next episode. Peace. Bye.